Hey, folks, welcome to this week's episode of Hunting Matters, brought to you by the Houston Safari Club Foundation. I've got a dog sitting here in my lap this week, so hopefully he'll behave and won't poop in the studio. We'll see if we can get through the hour without that. Micah Haarhoff, right? Haarhoff.
Haarhoff, yeah.
Got it. Okay. A lot of consonants in that last name.
Telling you.
Micah, thanks for joining us today. Micah is the president of Revolution Powersports Sales. We're going to talk about his business today and talk a little bit about his background and kind of what it brought him here today. So, Micah, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Joe.
Let's ask a little bit about your background. Now, you're compared to me, you're a very young gentleman, obviously an entrepreneur. But where'd you grow up, and what'd you do as a kid?
Man, I grew up. So I've been in the power sports industry about 10 years. Grew up in Conroe area, Texas. So I think you're in Houston.
Yep.
It's about 45 minutes north. Been in love with the industry since I think I was 13. I'm 24 now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it started as a side hustle and turned into the main hustle. So
Were you involved in any competitive sports and motorcycles or anything growing up?
Not a lot, no. I raced at Three Palms a little bit, more as a hobby than anything competitive.
Right.
So.
Okay. So you're what, 24 years old?
I'm 24, yes.
And you've already got several businesses going. How did your journey as an entrepreneur begin, and kind of what first sparked your passion for building businesses?
So it comes down to why I do what I do, and that's I'm looking for time and money freedom, and that's always been a path. So I would be working 9 to 5s, and my grandpa worked for himself, and a lot of these people I looked up to, saw the way they lived, the things they were doing, and the people they were making a difference and an impact on, and I wanted a piece of it. I say I'm not a good employee, and so there was a few. I would get a job and I would work there and learn the industry. So I apprenticed, several years, worked completely for free all through high school, 13, 14, 15, various power sports dealerships and shops. And, my background was in as a technician, and I would do all this on the side. But I think what lights me up is being able to, we put food on tables for, probably 40 or 50 people.
Yeah.
And, it's a bigger why than just working for a paycheck. And I think that was inspired to me just by the people I was hanging around and looking up to. And, always been big with Dan Martell and all the, big names. So I think that's kind of what sparked that interest and, how I turned into this. So
the Houston Safari Club Foundation's Worldwide Hunting Expo and Convention is back. January 23rd to the 25th at the Woodlands Waterway Marriott. Explore worldwide hunting and fishing outfitters, gear, auctions, raffles, and banquets. $20 at the door, kids under 15, military and first responders free with ID. Learn more at wehuntwegive.oerg. Sponsored by Boyd's Gun Stocks, Capital Farm Credit, Copendero, DEA Ranch, Dex Imaging, Genus Logistics, Gunworks Revic, and Wildlife Partners.
Got it. So what is Revolution Powersports? Give me your elevator speech.
Give me the elevator pitch. Okay.
Yeah.
We are the Amazon Prime of the dealership world. We make it incredibly easy to buy, sell, service your ATV, side-by-side, dirt bike, go-kart. We are incredibly convenient. And that's really where we've made a name. We kind of took the Amazon Prime thing and we were like, look, you don't even have to come into the store. We do financing, delivery, service, every aspect of it. You sit on your couch, So it's a very streamlined process, DocuSign. If you want to come in, you can. All our pictures, videos, walk-arounds of each unit. We specialize in, lifted and stock, pre-owned power sports. So it's essentially like buying off Facebook Marketplace, and you're very close to Facebook Marketplace pricing, but you get inspections, financing, warranties, all the stuff you would get buying new, but you've already lost appreciation on that unit. So we like to say it's similar to a savings account. If you're trying to buy a power sports thing, if you buy one from us, they hold their value incredibly well because they've already lost depreciation being pre-owned. So you can sell it for pretty close to what you're in it. going in the pre-owned space. So
Okay. So, and your website, we'll give it out again here in a little bit, but your website is rpsride.com, correct?
yeah, rpsride.com.
Got it. So was that, when you started Revolution, was that your original vision, or did you kind of move into that space, or was that always kind of your vision for this company?
So it started in my driveway. I was selling 30 units a month.
Wow.
So I would work my 9 to 5, and then it would be my 5 to 9 after that. So I would I'd work my day job, and then I would drive to Oklahoma, pick up a broken down side by side or 4-wheeler, get it back to the house, fix it, detail it, list it, and sell it all after my normal job, right? And I was doing so many of them out of my driveway. I started looking into what does it take to be, one, legal, one, sustainable, and how do I not get burned out working 100 hours a week, right? So then it turned into getting a dealer license and doing all the back end legal side of it. And about 11 months later, opened the store. We just leased a place, renovated the whole thing, and yeah, started with one guy, and I think we have 12 or 13 now. So
Wow.
been a constant growth phase.
Yeah. Has your vision for the, for Revolution changed and how long have you been doing this?
So I've been in the industry 10 years, and we've been open for 3. We're coming up on 3. So we're still relatively new, in the grand scheme of business.
Mm-hmm.
But, the biggest thing really has always been, delivering a product in a very convenient method. People hate dealerships, right?
Right.
They don't want to sit there. They don't want to be there for 3 hours, 4 hours, So the vision we took was, we're going to provide a quality product and make it very fast and easy to, get that to your house or your property or deer lease, whatever. We sell to a bunch of hunters. That's a huge thing, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
And people just don't have time for it. Our clientele is typically in the top 20% of the income bracket. They don't have time to sit around at a dealership and, piddle for 4 hours while everybody does their thing, right? So the speed factor was a really big thing for us.
So you guys will actually deliver product to ranches, to properties.
Yeah.
How has that been received, and how has that Amazon model for your industry been received?
Well, nobody really does it. We're free delivery within 150 miles. Like we've had people they're hunting Saturday and we're delivering it to the lease, right? Pull it off the trailer, go hunt. And it's not a common thing. But my business model isn't either. There's not really anybody that specializes in the pre-owned space. Everybody does new, or you get a not a very high quality product in the pre-owned space, right? So between the service department, we have in-house transport, and we deliver to fit, to the lower 48. And the way we structured that to make it sustainable for us was, like last week we delivered one, I think, to Mississippi or something. It's 7-hour drive or whatever it was. So we'll deliver that free of charge to the customer or very minimal cost, and then we'll buy inventory on the way back. And that covers our cost on it.
Okay.
So we buy in 48 states. We sell in 48 states. We've even gone overseas. We've delivered Greece, Europe, a lot of these different places, and that's been a good thing for us as far as the transport side goes. And it's modeled after that Amazon thing. You don't have to hook a trailer up. You don't have to own a trailer. Even for the service department, we're picking up, delivering, and just trying to make that name. So
Capital Farm Credit understands that there's something about the outdoors that pulls you in. Could be the fresh air, the colors, the smells, the animals, the freedom. It's all just a part of who you are. And with our recreational land loans, you can purchase land for whatever outdoor pursuit you please. That way, the outdoors won't just be in your soul, it'll also be in your name. To learn more, visit capitalfarmcredit.com. Together, we're better.
That's huge, because I know, we all got pushed into this during, I even hate to refer back to P word, the pandemic.
Yeah.
We all, our lives and the way we live our lives, that all changed.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife, I like to go to the grocery store. I like to go to Home Depot. I like to go to Costco. I like to go to all those places.
Sure.
And now, now it's kind of a novelty. Groceries show up at the door, and my wife orders them, and then, like you said, there's the Amazon thing. It's changed. So I think, your timing is perfect. Did you go to business school? Is this something you just kind of came up with on your own? Is this something that was trial and error through your? I mean, you're 24. Come on. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a short-lived professional career. So
Yeah, no, for sure. So I opened in 2021. So it was
Okay.
kind of during that pandemic, all of that was going.
Yeah.
And it really was trial and error. I never went to college, never did any kind of professional schooling. But I was very intentional with who I hung out with, so I'm in a lot of different masterminds and groups and, people 10, 20 years older than me doing the kind of things and their businesses in the place that I want mine to be, and so by surrounding myself with those types of people, I think that's been a huge impact as far as elevating where we're at now. And then the other thing is I hire really good people, so a lot of this has come from, one of my team members has an idea and we put it into action. I hire people older than me, wiser than me, better, at whatever that task is. And that's what's kept us sustainable because I don't know everything. I'm young, and so I'm trying to learn from people I have, and I bring those people into my store and, do it that way. So
I'm a firm believer in hiring people that are smarter than I am in the area in which I've hired them. Because if I'm not, if it's not that kind of relationship, I don't want to have to do their job for them.
Yeah, 100%. And I started early on hiring people that weren't smarter than me, and then now I'm hiring you to do the job, and I'm still having to show you how to do it and go back and do it again, and so that was a trial and error thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
So our listeners and viewers kind of get a better concept for Revolution Powersports. You guys do all types of motor vehicles, side by sides. Kind of give me a rundown of what people.
Yeah, for sure. So we specialize. We work on new, used. It's parts, service, sales. So if you work on your own machine, we supply parts. We have a lot of parts in stock, aftermarket support, accessories. And then of course sales, pre-owned. And we get stuff like last year's models, units, with no hours on them and whatever else. So you're buying a new unit for the price of a used one, right? And then of course full service department. So whether or not you bought from us, you can come in and they're all used machines and they're rode a lot harder than your average vehicle. They require a little bit more maintenance and whatnot, so we handle all of that. Pickup, delivery. It's the most convenient probably power sports store out there, or at least that's our goal. Just all these people are busy. You're busy, and then people have got used to Amazon, Instacart, DoorDash, all these different things where you just push a button and it shows up.
Right.
So that's is very similar to what we've modeled, but all of them, Can-Am, Kawasaki, Honda, Yamaha, all the major brands we work on service sell. So
Hunting Matters is presented by Copandero Indoor Archery Pistol and Rifle Range, your premier indoor archery pistol and rifle shooting destination. Located in Oak Ridge North, right next to the Woodlands, Copandero offers 2 25-yard pistol ranges, a 100-yard rifle range, and a 25-yard archery range. Whether you're honing your skills or just starting, Copandero has everything you need, including rentals, classes, a retail store, an in-house cafe, and a VIP lounge. Join Copandero today for an unmatched shooting experience. To learn more, go to copandero.com. What's your most and I'm guessing it's pretty diverse, but what's your most popular product grouping? Is it the side by sides? Is it the off-road vehicles?
Yeah, side by sides are going to be our number one, specifically Polaris and Can-Am. That's the two we sell. I think we sold 350 units last year, with probably 80% of them being Polaris. So Polaris and Can-Am, that's the number two we specialize in. Of course, they're number one in the new space as well as Ford and Chevy.
Yeah, got it. So I excuse my ignorance here, but what are the vehicles I see on the highway that has 3 wheels and you guys do
Spiders?
those?
Spiders are the slingshot.
Yeah. Do you guys do those too?
We don't mess with a lot of the on-road stuff. We do sell them occasionally. We'll get them on trade. They're technically on paper a motorcycle. So we'll mess with it. We don't specialize in it. So, and that's something, through the business thing. I started out doing a little bit of everything, right? And now we've kind of narrowed our focus down to here's the top 4 major brands we work on, stock parts for, sell, because then we can just be experts in that field instead of being a little bit good at everything, right?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that makes absolute sense. So I dug through your website quite a bit before our conversation today, and you're a Christian. And I'm curious. I like to talk to people who profess their faith and not wear it on the sleeve, but go, hey, you know what? This is who I am. This is what I do. How does your faith influence the way that you lead your team and you make business decisions?
So I think it comes down to every aspect in a company and in your personal life. I'm a firm believer in how you do one thing's how you do everything. So I hire and fire based on, we have 5 core values. Integrity being number 1, and of course it is faith-based, but it's also, even if you're not a Christian or you don't have a faith-backed background, these values, relate with you also, so the acronym's QUIC, quality of product, quality of communication, all the stuff, unity with our team, our people as a culture, integrity, in every aspect. I want my general manager running that company like I am, right? Because I'm not in the day-to-day. So it makes it a little hard to hire sometimes, because that's not a standard thing with people, right? But it is one of our interview questions. What does integrity mean to you? And give me an example of something you've had to do in your past, right?
Yeah.
And C in QUIC is communication. That's a really big thing, and something that's taken as far as just you get Amazon updates every stop, every how far out they are, blah blah blah. So communication between staff and customers, and then product knowledge is okay. So knowledge being the very last one. We try and stay up to date with all the trends and all the different things in the space. But yeah, so every decision comes down to there is a moral code, and we're going to be held accountable, and so every decision ends up running through that filter, right? And it's just it's a culture we've developed. It isn't like a wear it on your sleeve thing, but it is how everything is done. And an issue comes up, we're treating them with kindness, mercy, and grace, right? When a lot of places are going to be like, yeah, that's your problem. Sorry.
Right.
So that is a big thing. It's not really something we push a lot, but it is the reality, and it is a faith-based company. So,
are you looking for an investment that goes beyond the ordinary? Wildlife Partners is the nation's leader in breeding and consulting for the exotic wildlife industry. When you invest in wildlife, you're not just acquiring a 100% tax-deductible asset, you're playing a vital role in the conservation of endangered species. Do you own land? You can turn your ranch into a profitable wildlife-driven business. And even if you don't own land, that's no problem. Wildlife Partners offers unique opportunities for non-landowners to invest in conservation while enjoying significant tax benefits and potential cash flow. Yeah. I've done a lot of different things over my career. And for about 10 years, I worked for a medical device manufacturer, and we built hospital beds and wound care devices and that sort of thing.
I have a really good friend that actually does that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But the thing that has always resonated with me is that, we had a mission statement, we had a purpose, we had all these things. But the founder, who was a Christian, he said at the end of the day, we operate and everything we do is with a servant's heart.
Yeah.
And that, that was easy for everybody to remember it. Everybody go, okay, this is the standard. We're serving other people. We're saving lives. We're helping people get through medical difficulties. We're servicing doctors and nurses, helping them do their job better. And so, that servant's heart has always stuck with me. It's always been.
And how rare that is in a business?
Very.
And I think that's part of the reason why I open was because I work for so many places. They don't care about their people. They don't care about their customers. Everybody's a number. Everything's a number. It was just one of those things that it was hard for me to align with.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about your uh, you got a little bit about your leadership and your professional life.
Yeah.
What's a lesson that you've learned, a leadership lesson that you've learned the hard way, and how has that changed how you
Mm.
lead your team?
Learn the hard way.
Yeah,
I
whether
think meeting.
obvious or something you thought of, and like, oh man, I should have known better, or just something
Yeah.
kind of surprised you.
I think meeting people at their level is something that I've had to adapt to because I'm a very driven, visionary person, right? So I set the vision and something that I've lost some good people over the years, right?
Mhm.
And because I was holding them to the same expectation I hold myself, and it caused them to burn out instead of meeting them at their level and guiding them to the same result. Right? I have such a high standard for myself. I would be disappointed when, you know, this person I just hired doesn't hold themselves to that
Right.
same standard, right? And so something that I've implemented is, I invest in a lot of different coaching and support for these people because, 5 years ago, that's not who I was either,
Right.
and as I've put myself in these places and things of that nature, I've developed into that. So I think meeting people where they're at in this particular season of life has been a really solid learning curve for me.
Hunting Matters is presented by DEA Ranch. Are you looking for the ultimate South Texas hunting experience? Then look no further than DEA Ranch. DEA Ranch offers some of the best whitetail and exotic game hunts in South Texas year-round. Whether you're looking to fill your freezer or put that next hunting memory on the wall, their professional guides are focused on ensuring each client has a memorable and exciting hunting experience. DEA Ranch offers guided hunts, professional staff, chef-prepared meals, trophy preparation, and more. To learn more, go to dearanch.com. That's dearanch.com.
Yeah, I see that trait in a lot of leaders. A lot of people that are type A personalities, hard driven, they're just wired differently. And I'm guilty of that too. With making that same mistake that you did, where it's like go 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 go,
Yeah.
and you expect people to keep up.
Yeah.
'Cause that's how you're wired.
Yeah.
But it's a very valid point to be able to look back and reflect and go, everybody doesn't operate on the same frequency I do. So how can I adapt and adjust to
Yeah.
help them? Whether it's your clients that you want to, satisfy, or whether it's your team members and your employees that you want to ensure job success for them as well. And you talked. I mean, I think I read somewhere one of your kind of your core principles, core values personally is to live a life without limits, right?
Yeah.
Um, what is it that credo or that philosophy? What does that mean to you personally, and how do you help others achieve that? Whether it's your team or your customers,
Yeah.
I'm just curious to know.
So there's limits in life, right? And so I think for me, a lot of it comes from how I grew up, very sheltered, controlled, and I think a lot of that turned into why I do what I do now, right? It is to live a life without limits. I don't
Mhm.
want to be limited financially, my time. I want to be able to give my time back and not be tied to a 9 to 5. It's funny. Like I have so many opportunities now that I'm not tied to a 9 to 5 to help other people, to do podcasts, to do this, that, and whatever. And I think that was a really big thing. And the money will come.
Yeah.
It's not that money drives everything, right? But I think to truly live a life without limits and what true freedom means, and it's just being happy and content in what you're doing, at that current place in your life.
Yeah.
And I think that the company's done that for me. And I think as far as employees and whatever else goes, our time off policy is make sure your tasks get covered while you're gone. So it's one of those, if you have somebody that can fill in for you, or I'm not going to hold you back, right?
Right.
And it kind of goes back to the previous question also. It's something I've learned is we're a very process driven culture. Right. So anybody can step into anybody's role, and there's a SOP or a process or a checklist or something for them to follow, to where, yeah, sure, go on that cruise for a week, because we got you covered, and if that's your version of a life without limits. I'm a pilot, I skydive, I do, all this stuff. And I think just that freedom feeling is what drives me, right?
Yeah.
In every aspect.
Nobody wants to imagine an emergency on a hunting trip, but when the unexpected happens, you want the team of medical and security experts at Global Rescue to be there for you. Global Rescue Operations Centers are staffed by experienced personnel, and you'll always speak to an expert on the first call. Global Rescue provides unparalleled capabilities to transport members to the hospital of their choice, not just the closest. So trade what-ifs for peace of mind with convenient travel services designed for the unexpected. Learn more at globalrescue.com/hunting matters. No, that makes sense. There's going to be somebody out there who's listening who's a young entrepreneur, a young wannabe entrepreneur, that sort of thing. So obviously, you were talking about kind of living a sheltered life, kind of got out of that shell and that sort of thing. So it takes self-confidence to do what you're doing, especially at such a young age. How do you balance confidence with humility? Because obviously, I think you come across as somebody who's really caring about his team and wanting them to succeed. So I'm just curious to know, for somebody who's listening, who's a young up and comer, how do you maintain that balance of confidence with humility?
I think humility probably comes first. I think for me, I kind of almost sit back and I listen more than I talk. Or I tend to anyway. And I think, it comes back, there's this reel that goes around that's, what's a good man, right? It's not always agreeing with everybody, standing up for what you believe in. And I think, that's an interesting question, and I don't think I've been asked it before. But it is, I think it is a healthy balance, even just as a Christian also, right? Humility is a big thing. But you have to present confidently. You have to make confident decisions. I'm leading a team of people, ranging from 25 years old to, our driver's 71, or something. So it's an interesting leadership position to lead people 3-4 times your age, right?
Sure.
And you do have to have a lot of humility, because these people know a lot more than I do, but I also have, I've been in positions where these people want to do something that I don't align with. And you do have to have that confidence and backbone to stand up for your core values and the things you align with, while also being, a humble person and not flaunting yourself and whatever. Because I don't know anything, I'm only here because, of God and all of that. So, and I think that's another thing, going back to what it means to be freedom. We have freedom through Christ, and I want that, a factor in every aspect of my life,
In the heart of nature, give your deer the nutrition they deserve with Record Rack Deer Feeds. The premium feeds support antler growth and overall herd health. Whether you're a wildlife enthusiast or a dedicated hunter, Record Rack Deer Feeds provide essential nutrients for a thriving herd. Choose Record Rack Deer Feeds for optimal deer nutrition. Visit recordrack.com to learn more.
Yeah, when you first started talking about your philosophy in this area we're talking about, my mother's voice came to the back of my head. I can remember her, even as a young child, she'd always say, "Son, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason."
Yeah.
God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So you should probably listen.
And I think that comes down to meeting people where they're at also. How am I supposed to meet somebody where they're at if I haven't listened long enough to find out where they're at?
And who they are. Yeah, who they are,
what they're doing, why they're doing it.
Right.
But I think you can be confident in your position and also be a very humble person.
Yeah. It all comes down to kindness at the end of the day, I guess.
Yeah. Kindness and mercy.
Yeah. You guys have obviously had, great success and expansion. What are the challenges that you face on a daily basis as far as a fast growing business and how you manage expansion?
Yeah, so we're in that phase. Second location's on the horizon. That's kind of my next move. So we service a 300-400.
That's a new storefront you're planning?
New storefront, yeah.
Got it.
Probably Waco, Dallas, somewhere around there. Our clientele comes from about a 300 to 400 mile radius, and so I want to get kind of up on the edge of that, and kind of expand, build that brand, right? Okay. I think for me personally, the hardest part of my role is I'm not somebody that easily holds other people accountable. I hold myself very accountable, But as far as holding people twice my age or whatever accountable to things they've said they're going to do, the expectations I've set in that day to day, I think that's probably the biggest challenge for me. You know, I'm naturally a people pleaser. I'm young. I don't have a lot of experience. And so surrounding myself with people that are good in those areas has done very well for me. But then not only that, but you're dealing with people, right? Nobody's perfect. And I hold myself to a very high standard. I hold my store to a high standard. And realizing that, you know, it's okay to mess up, and, you know, failing isn't failing. You know, you fail forward, right?
Right.
So I think I think the people side of it for me is probably the hardest aspect of it. But it's a growing business, a growing industry. I love being able to provide jobs and take care of people's families, you know, so that's a really big thing for me.
Are you looking for a smarter way to manage your document imaging and print environment? Dex Imaging delivers industry-leading printers, copiers, and fully managed print services designed to cut costs, boost productivity, and simplify your workflow. Whether you're a small business or a Fortune 500 company, Dex provides personalized local service with the power of a national network, so you get fast, reliable support wherever you are. Dex gives back, proudly supporting organizations like Houston Safari Club Foundation by giving through profit sharing. Dex Imaging, smarter technology, exceptional service, proven results. Visit deximaging.com or email Adam Montgomery at adam.montgomery@deximaging.com. You've obviously, you're on the forefront for this industry, for the power sports industry, of harnessing technology and e-commerce. Do you see any other big change? Of course, AI is and it will continue to affect everything. What other big changes, you know, without giving away any of your business and trade secrets, what big changes related to technology and e-commerce do you think your industry is going to see in the next few years?
My personal opinion, I think a lot of the back end financing, paperwork, all the stuff that takes the longest amount of time at the dealership is going to move to AI at some point. I'm already seeing it in the car dealerships. You walk into finance and there's a big TV with somebody, you know, on the other side, and that's it. You run your financing, you do your sign all your docs, do everything. It's all AI generated.
Yeah.
I'm personally working on an AI app. So, you know, back to your, and it'll tie together, but back to your question about what's the hardest part. My current hardest part, not people related, is sourcing inventory. Because we're in the pre-owned space, there's no manufacturer that I can just place an order and inventory shows up. So I'm building an app very similar to Carvana, JD Power, Kelley Blue Book, sell us your car, right? Instant cash offer kind of thing. And so that's in progress, but to essentially automate my sourcing of inventory, right?
Yeah.
So you get on there, you know, it's going to be something like RPS ride/sell. You get on there, upload pictures, your VIN number, a couple questions, and boom, you get a cash offer. And so that, you know, we'll blast that, and, you know, hopefully either sell the app or build it out to be something, you know, great. But AI is a huge part of that, you know, and it's a whole new space for me. But it's one of those people, I look at these companies that are going bankrupt and closing down after being 60, 70 years in business. And the common thing I'm seeing is they didn't keep up with the times.
Yeah.
You know, they're still stuck in the 1980s. And, you know, we're 2025. The world's evolving faster than anything else. Everything's AI. You know, everybody has ChatGPT. Everybody has all the stuff. And personally, I think it'll create more jobs because now you have to have somebody to run all of that, right? You know, and more efficient. You can pay people better because you don't need 10 people to do what you previously had to.
Right.
You know, so I think it will be a huge part of it. Even just throughout the ordering process, the selling process, you know, unit walkthroughs, you know, even during COVID, everybody's buying stuff sight unseen, right? We're sending walk around videos, you know, 3D everything. And, you know, it is contactless. You know, we never came in contact with these people. And I think it's, you know, I think the personal aspect of it ends up coming out a little bit. And I think that will be a challenge at some point, is how to preserve that personal interaction when everything can be done by AI, you know? So
Gunworks just launched a new rifle system. It's called Index. It's sized for adventure and engineered for extremes. With barrel lengths as short as 16 inches and a folding stock that collapses to an ultra-short profile, the Gunworks Index fits nicely in a UTV, a float plane, or across the seat of your truck without sacrificing accuracy. The Index features a built-in ARCA and pick rail for use on tripod or bipod, and a night vision rail to ensure you're ready for any scenario. The Gunworks Index delivers magnum capability in the most compact chassis rifle system on the market. Visit gunworks.com to learn more.
Yeah, that's where my brain went immediately, because, when you're buying, there's word of mouth referrals, and you're buying cars and toys and power sports things. It's a lot of referral, a lot of, well, I got my last one 4 years ago. You guys did such a great job for me. I decided to come back.
Yeah.
But I can see how you could accomplish that too with the way that you're, that you're conducting business also.
Yeah.
It's I listen. I'm all for technology and making people's lives easier and that sort of thing. But I also am, in the back of my head, I'm kind of one of those people that's like, yeah, but what about the interpersonal relationships and stuff? I got 3 kids that are in their 40s, 30s, and 20s, and I'm like, they grew up in an era where it's just like, this is their relationship. A lot of.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. And it's like, we'll do different stuff. I'm walking in, I'm talking to the customers, I'm going to call them, hey, just wanted to make sure Rob or Isaac or whoever is, taking care of you, doing a good job, and, trying to keep that personal relationship with people, even at the scale where, I can't be in the day to day. I have to delegate that out and trust people to do their jobs,
Yeah, you have to. Absolutely. So let's shift gears here a little bit. A lot of our audience, of course, are hunting aficionados and love the outdoors. So how does how I'm trying to think how to phrase this. How do the let me talk to it from this standpoint. So I'm a young person. I'm just starting to make a living. I'm just, maybe I'm on a hunting lease, and all the guys in camp are, they got their side by sides and that sort of thing. How do those guys, first of all, I guess you learn from your peers, learn from others about what works and what doesn't, what they prefer. Everybody's got their own personal preference. But I'm looking going, man, I can't afford a $20,000+ vehicle.
Yeah.
What are the options for those guys,
Sure. So, I mean, we are, another thing as far as the convenience thing goes, we make it like incredibly easy to buy something, right? So we have a ton of different financing, very similar to automotive. We will take Bitcoin, Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, credit cards, whatever, we'll trade guns. Like, we do all sorts of different things to make it easy for you, right? These things, I finance them up to 84 months half the time, so it's very similar to the automotive world. Where, $400 a month gets you a pretty nice side by side, right?
Yeah.
Often zero down, that kind of thing. And they hold their value very well. If you buy something pre-owned, either off marketplace from us, you really don't lose depreciation. It's already been lost, right? So we get people, they buy one at the beginning of the season, sell it at the end of the season, for about what they're in it, and sure, they took a little bit of a loss, maybe selling it back to us or something. But they hold their value well. The financing is very easy. And that seems to be our biggest thing as far as, hunting is not a cheap hobby, so it's one of those, you're putting money in, and it's an investment, a lot of times.
Yeah, I know your business model allows people to have that autonomy of kind of picking and choosing what they want, but I'm sure that you're still getting inquiries, email, text, whatever, calls. Hey, listen, man, I'm thinking about it. I need a vehicle for my deer lease this year. I've never bought a side by side before. How do you kind of guide your customers into what they, the old car dealers say, let me get you into one of these. How do you get them into what they need?
Yeah. The number one thing for us is, what does the customer need? That is a question we ask. What are you going to be using it for? Are you strictly hunting with it? You have ranch land? Are you working with it? You want to go to the mud parks? Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to, have a hybrid kind of sport utility only, sport only? What are you trying to do? We sell tracks for the duck hunters and whatever, so we'll put a machine on tracks. You get in that swamp land, do your thing. We sell the quack racks and ranch armor products, hoist, winches in the back. stuff like that. And a lot of people are using their trucks or Jeeps or, whatever. And it's just, they don't want to tear it up going off road and in the water and whatever else. So, a lot of it is finding out what you want, what you need, and combining the two at a price point that works for you. And we make it about the customer. It's, if you come in, you're going to be doing some utility work with it during the off season, or are you only going to hunt with it? Because that's a completely different machine. And the other thing we do that's a little different than other people is most people, hey, we don't have it, and that's the end of the conversation. We don't have it. We're going to find it for you. We have a lot of connections. We do this all the time. We're experts in the field. We'll find it for you, and make that connection and whatnot. The other thing we do is we have a rider program. So let's say you own a side-by-side and your friend wants to buy it. Your friend doesn't have the cash to buy it. You guys can come to me, contactless, or come into the store and we'll finance it. Flat fee, and seller and buyer typically split it or whatever. But you can buy the side-by-side from your friend and we'll finance it. So that was a cool thing, that not a lot of people do. But yeah.
Hunting Matters is sponsored by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Under the visionary leadership of founder Johnny Morris, Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's is leading North America's largest conservation movement. Together with their partners in conservation, they're positively shaping the future of the outdoors through donations, grant making, and advocacy. The 501c3 Outdoor Fund raises funds to support conservation efforts by activating more than 200 million passionate sportsmen and women, rounding up their purchases in Bass Pro Shops and Cabela stores and online. Visit basspro.com or cabela's.com today.
Kind of takes that, the old thing about the old saying about friends and money and family. You don't want to kind of takes that.
Now we're the middleman.
You probably have salvaged some friendships and some families from that alone.
Yeah.
Like, you want it here? Go talk to this guy.
Yeah, go talk to this guy, and we'll see what happens here.
Micah's going to hook you up. Hey, listen. We got 3 boys. We had a kid, our youngest one. We were trying to get him to grow up and just kind of accept responsibility. And we had an apartment above the garage. And we made him sign a lease. Really? We hired a third-party independent lady who was a real estate agent that we knew, and she was his landlord.
Hey, you got to.
And so I think that's a pretty unique thing to offer. That just kind of take that heat off those relationships. Go talk to Mike and his team. They're going to take care of it.
Well, it takes the middle person out of it. We're the middle person because we're just connecting you with the bank, right? We're doing all the back end paperwork, all of that kind of stuff, and it takes the stress off both parties.
Right. Do you see the side by side business, the business, the vehicle business, hunting vehicle business? Is it a flat line? Is it growing? Is it up and down year to year? What affects your business in that area?
COVID was our best year, and it's gone down a little bit since. Obviously, rates are a huge thing. What's happening in the economy, that's a huge thing.
Well, if we can get rid of the Fed chair.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I see it consistently going up, and it's one of those, there's up and downs, and, 1 month we'll do this, and the next month we'll do this. But across an average, year over year, we're doing better. And if the pre-owned space is doing better, that means the new market's doing better. I have a lot of friends in the industry, and it's just, it blows my mind how many people are buying these kind of things, right? Mm-hmm. I got a friend, he owns a big old dealership, and they sell 500 units a month. Wow. It's just one of those, blows my mind. There's that many people just constantly circulating them, right? Yeah. So I see it going up, and it's such a huge asset to the hunting community because you're not tearing your car up, your Jeep up, your truck up, whatever it is. And these machines are designed for that, So you're not having to drag your deer out. We hook up a winch on the back and drag her out, So it is a convenience. And
you don't have to get that Texas pinstripe paint job on your vehicle either.
Yeah, you don't care about the scratches and whatever else. They're off road, that's just how it is. Yeah.
Now your power sports business is not all that you're involved with, right?
So I do a little bit of real estate. Actually, it's an entrepreneur thing. It's, you're kind of in a little bit of everything. Right now, my biggest priority is the dealership, and scaling that, getting that second location. So a lot of it has shifted to that. But I've done some fix and flips and rentals and different things of that nature. I actually just sold my last rental a couple of weeks ago, so it's kind of stepping out of that, investing a little more money into the store. But kind of where I'm going now is I want to do. We sell a very high ticket product, right? And for sustainability, I'm looking for small ticket things. So I'm thinking we may do a coffee shop or something like that, to where it's a low, high volume thing. Because we deal with not a lot of people, but at a high ticket. For sustainability, for the economy, for all of that, I want to diversify a little bit instead of just being stuck in a recreational product.
Sure.
But it's actually funny. I just had the thought. We actually had one of our Christmas parties at the Young Professionals Taxidermy thing, and I've got a real good friend. His name's Andrew Garay, and he was like, "Hey, invite some friends and whatever." So I took my whole staff, and it was a really, really cool thing at the little Conroe taxidermy thing. So,
oh yeah,
that was a fun little deal. But we did that for like a little Christmas party thing for the store, and here we are today. So.
Yeah.
The Houston Safari Club Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that supports the future of hunting and conservation. Wildlife and habitat conservation, youth education and outdoor experiences, scholarships, and anti-poaching efforts are just a few of the programs supported by this organization. Monthly events, an annual convention, award-winning publications, networking opportunities, and valuable resources for hunting knowledge are just a few of the benefits of being a member of Houston Safari Club Foundation. If you're searching for a group of people dedicated to protecting the future of hunting, look no further. Join Houston Safari Club Foundation today at wehuntwegive.oerg or call 713-623-8844.
I'm having lunch with Barrett Simpson from Conroe this coming Friday, actually.
Andrew?
Barrett Simpson.
Okay. This one's Andrew Garay is.
Garay, yeah.
He kind of got me into the hunting space and all of that. So.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that kind of reignited our young professionals group over at Houston Safari.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah. No, he's done a lot in the industry, and that dude's a crazy guy.
Yeah. Hey, earlier I think I heard you mention you're a pilot as well.
I am. Yeah.
Where do you fly?
It's currently just a small single engine. I'm a Piper Archer guy myself, a little low wing. But yeah, that is kind of my hobby. It's an expensive hobby, so.
How'd you get into that? You just you watched Top Gun and went, "Hey, I can."
Yeah, basically. No, my grandpa was a pilot.
Oh,
my
cool.
office is actually at the Conroe Airport.
Okay.
So I don't know, but I think it just aligns with living that life of freedom. There's just something about being 10,000 feet, and it's just my meditation time.
Got it. Do you ever take any problem employees up in the air with you and kind of?
Yeah, and just drop them out.
Yeah. Just
No,
roll
but
them
I have taken a few.
roll over.
Yeah, I have taken a few skydiving. That it's a fun thing for me. I'm working on getting solo on that, but it's a lot of fun, and not for everybody. But we did one once. We were like, hey, if you hit 30 units or whatever it was, I'll take you up and we'll jump.
So let's just go ahead and call it what it is. You're an adrenaline junkie, aren't you?
Yeah, we'll go with that. But it fits the industry. It aligns with me. So it's just kind of one of those.
Right.
I think I grew into it.
Yeah. So what, looking back, over the past 3 years, what's the most, in your mind, what's the most rewarding thing that you look? I know you're not looking back and going, patting yourself on the back, but I'm curious to know, what do you look back and go, you know what, this is really fulfilled me, rewarded me about doing what I'm doing?
I think for me, it's the impact I've had on different employees, and again, putting food on the table for them and myself. I had one of my guys call me, and I put him through the Dave Ramsey plan. I put him through a lot of different budgeting things and whatever else, and personally helped him with different stuff. And he called me. He's been trying to get approved for a house for the last 2 years and has never been able to. And, he got out of a ton of debt, worked really hard, sold a bunch of units, and whatever. And he just got approved for a house last week. So it's like stuff like that really lights me up, being able to have that impact. No matter if, ideally he's here in 10 years or whatever with me, but even if he's not, that impact carries on, throughout. So I think the investment, into my people that's turned this into such a great company is probably the most rewarding thing for me. along, of course, along with the connections I've made and, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I think truly being able to help people in that space. We get so many like divorce sales and everybody fights over the toys and whatever else. And it's the one thing that doesn't ever decrease in value.
Right.
And it ends up being the biggest fights. And, we can kind of come in and be the middleman to both parties, and just be like, look, we're completely independent. Here's the numbers, and it takes that stress out of it, and so, we've done that a lot. But I think for me personally, just the impact I've had on all the different employees and people that have come through the store.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very cool. Yeah. Listen, hey, I was a Dave Ramsey envelope guy trying to figure my budget out when I was a
Oh, me
young
too.
man. What was that tedious or what? I can remember walking in my closet, pulling out my envelopes, going, "How much money do I have left a week?"
Yeah, that's great. I still use a very similar system. I mean, obviously it's automated now, but I used to have the envelopes app before it got sold out or whatever, and
yeah. Yeah, it's Dave Ramsey saved a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Whether you put all into practice or not, but it
Yeah.
definitely teaches you lessons. Teaches you lessons. Finally, as we wrap up today, Micah, for young entrepreneurs that are listening or watching, what's one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's up and coming, going, you know what, that Micah guy's got something going on. I'd like to have that too, or I'd like to kind of head down that road. What's one piece of advice you give somebody to get them started in entrepreneurship and with a focus on, true freedom and independence?
Number one thing, and I've told this to a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of lives changed because of it. Put yourselves in rooms with people who are. Let me start over. Put yourselves in rooms with people that are 5 years ahead of you. If you're wanting to be here in 5 years or here in 10 years, surround yourself with those kind of people. And that's something like even back in high school, everybody lives up their 20s and whatever else, blah, blah, blah. I'm intentionally surrounding myself with people 10, 15, 20 years older than me, in places of life that I want to be. And it's some, I have people spiritually, financially, business, all of these different categories, of somebody that's really strong in this area that I can learn from. And then, I kind of think of it like a totem pole. I want to be on the bottom third. I want a lot of people I can learn from, and then a few people that I can pour back into. And I think especially if you are young, you do have a lot stacked against you. And you have to be intentional about who you are and who you surround yourself with. And then the number two thing is know exactly why you're doing it. Because I used to be where I had just no idea, right? This is what's working, it's making money, whatever else, but you have no clear direction. So find out what your purpose is and why you're doing it and what you're doing it for. And that's kind of your winning formula as far as your personal life, and then every aspect will follow.
Yeah, that's great advice. I mean, I learned a long time ago that professional and personal mentors are key.
100%.
They keep you great. And some of my professional mentors are people I didn't like.
Yeah.
And I didn't like them because I saw myself in them.
Yeah.
But they would call me out. I mean, they were the first people to go, "Hey, you need to kind of take a look at yourself."
Man.
And those are and still these are guys who were professional mentors of mine back when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, who I still call on and go, "Hey, I got this situation. What do you think?" It's crazy. Yeah. And when you were talking about that, also, I know you probably, being a young entrepreneur, you probably heard this. I heard Shaquille O'Neal ask somebody one time, was interviewing him on a podcast, and he said, how did you obtain so much wealth and fortune? He goes, I surround myself with rich people. I go around all these billionaires. I go meet with them. I talk to them. I have dinner with them, and I talk to them and I listen.
Yeah.
He said that's how I've become successful financially. It wasn't basketball. That was a springboard. He said I went and talked to Jeff Bezos and all these people, and I listen. That's how I learn.
Yeah.
Well, Micah, this has been a cool podcast. We typically talk a lot about hunting and shooting and that sort of thing, but it's great to kind of change course here on Hunting Matters this week. So Micah Haarhoff, the president of Revolution Powersports, check out their website at rpsride.com. Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure. Appreciate your time, man.
Joe, I appreciate you. I love what you're doing, and this whole thing's been super cool. So
thanks, man. Have a great week. We'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir. You too.
Hunting Matters is a Houston Safari Club Foundation production. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For questions or more information, email us at info@wehuntwegive.oerg.